Fellow Americans, this rhetoric of Donald Trump around bad genes and suggestions that immigrants corrupt the nation's blood, you must know, draws deeply troubling connections to eugenic ideologies that have fueled some of history's worst injustices. When figures in positions of power use language reminiscent of eugenics, a discredited pseudoscience that falsely attributed social and racial hierarchies to genetic differences, they signal a disregard for the dignity and diversity that modern society strives to uphold. This rhetoric of Donald Trump is especially dangerous in the mouth of a public leader, for it echoes the dehumanizing beliefs that enabled slavery, segregation, and genocides like the Holocaust, making anyone who perpetuates these ideas fundamentally unfit for public office, let alone the presidency. Eugenics, popularized in the 19th and early 20th century, proposed that undesirable traits could be eliminated by limiting reproduction among certain populations, especially along racial, ethnic, and class lines. This notion of genetic purity laid the groundwork for forced sterilizations, discriminatory immigration policies, and policies that treated groups as biologically inferior. To hear a modern leader invoke bad genes or corrupted blood is to echo this harmful ideology, reviving the debunked idea that human worth is dictated by racial or genetic purity. In the early 20th century, eugenic rhetoric became deeply intertwined with notions of American identity. Immigration policies like the Immigration Act of 1924 limited entry to non-Western European groups based on theories of racial purity, fueling a climate of xenophobia that framed immigrants as a threat to the nation's character. Sound familiar? Modern claims that immigrants corrupt the nation mirror these old, fear-driven views, transforming public rhetoric into a weapon against inclusivity. A public official who uses such language actively undermines the principle of equality that should form the backbone of a democracy. By promoting notions of genetic fitness, eugenics justified countless human rights abuses. In the United States, eugenic policies encouraged forced sterilizations and segregation laws that oppressed people of color, while in Nazi Germany, eugenic ideas about racial superiority justified the extermination of millions. This history reveals the dangers of genetic rhetoric. It devalues certain groups, paving the way for discrimination, exclusion, and even genocide. Public officials who introduce such ideas demonstrate a disregard for the lessons of history and a willingness to undermine civil rights and all the progress that has been made since the Civil Rights Act. Holding public office requires a commitment to respect and uplift the diverse fabric of society. Leaders who rely on divisive, exclusionary language betray the very values they are entrusted to protect. When a leader such as Donald Trump suggests that certain people are less valuable because of their genetics, they propagate ideas that are not only scientifically false, but morally reprehensible. Such rhetoric in a leader such as Donald Trump, especially one who aspires to the highest office, signals a profound misunderstanding of what it means to serve the public. This language is unfit for anyone in public office, where words shape policy, influence public opinion, and reflect the nation's values. Language about bad genes and corrupted blood is a dangerous return to an era when such ideas were used to justify numerous atrocities. Public officials such as Donald Trump, who invoke these ideas, cross an ethical line, legitimizing the exclusion of certain groups and betraying the principles of dignity and equality. No leader, not Donald Trump or anyone who espouses these beliefs, should hold public office. He and others like him are unfit for the responsibility of representing a democratic society. History has shown us the destructive power of eugenic thinking. and we cannot afford to ignore the reemergence of such rhetoric in our political discourse. Vote November 5th.